Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope that you have liked my previous coverage about the automobile industry, and I do sincerely hope that you do keep continuing supporting the channel so that I can keep bringing you more videos like these, which are covering the automobile industry. So, today we are going to talk about why American car manufacturers are exiting India. Now, there are a variety of reasons behind it. I'm going to cover the three main reasons behind why these car makers are leaving India. So, if you have not been up to date with the recent news as such, we have seen, of course, Ford, which are shutting down their production plants for their cars in India, and only making engines which are going to be exported. Otherwise, all the other cars which would be sold, like the Ford Mustang, like the potentially having a Ford F-150, all of them will be imported into India. So no production of cars here, and potentially almost 4,000 jobs are going to be at risk, which is not the ideal situation as such. Before that, we have seen other examples too. The most prominent one being Chevrolet exiting the Indian market, and and that was done on an overnight basis, leaving the dealers very unhappy, the customers very unhappy with how it was done. So let's get into why this is actually happening, why this mass exodus of American car manufacturers is taking place from India. So the first reason would be that whenever these cars are launched, we can clearly see that there has been a shift from the performance orientation which these cars tend to have in their foreign versions being reduced to a more cost effective versions so as to technically support the Indian market. Now, on this paper, that might sound good as such, but in reality, it has not worked out well for these manufacturers. In the foreign market, they usually do have performance oriented vehicles or vehicles which do have a good quality and are known for their utilitarian nature itself. Especially if you see Ford and Chevrolet vehicles, they are known to be very easily repairable or very easily accessible as such. But in India, that's not been the case. And we have clearly seen that whenever they are launching models here, the quality has simply not been up to the standards which we expect it to be. Now, this of course was done to bring down their own costs and sell their products at a competitive price and ultimately compete with other rival manufacturers, especially manufacturers like Maruti Suzuki, like Hyundai, which have ensured that their products are competitively priced. And due to this, manufacturers like Chevrolet and Ford weren't able to price their products competitively, and that is why they had to cut costs, and that ultimately didn't make their products as attractive as the others which are on the market to customers like us. Now, moving to the second point, if we look at the second point, we can certainly point to the fact that there has been a lack of brand appeal and no strong marketing campaigns as such, and that is a very important matter as such. I mean, if we see, there has not been any strong uh, brand appeal as such. Like for example, with Ford, it can only be mentioned that Mustang was the is the only most successfully recognized car because it is a halo product for them. Now, maybe you can also argue for the Endeavor or the EcoSport as such, but other than that, there has not been any sales movers as such in terms of volume, and that has really led them to not have a lot of uh, a lot of volume as such, and that has caused them to ultimately face lower sales and not have a market share of even 2% at many points. So moving ahead, uh, this ultimately did cause them to actually not have great sales and ultimately stop the production in India. And with there not being any strong marketing campaigns as such, unlike their other rival manufacturers like Maruti Suzuki, like Hyundai, or even smaller manufacturers in India like Honda or like Renault, who have had memorable brand campaigns. Let's just say that. Even Indian manufacturers, Tata and Mahindra, uh, they have always had strong marketing campaigns and had a emotional connect with the customers, which has generally been lacking with these American manufacturers. Now, moving on to the last point which I would like to address with regards to the specific question, that would be no strong dealer network and a lack of after sales support. I think this is also a very important point which we should consider. Currently, in India, if we see Maruti Suzuki and Hyundai, they are currently offering perhaps the best after sales support and service network all around. Generally speaking, all of us might have separate personal experience, but generally speaking, these car makers too actually have the widest service network, the strongest service network, or the after sales support. And the fact is, with these American car manufacturers, they were not as well established in the market, and that did cause them to suffer because Indians do, along with having a cheaply priced product, fuel efficient product, they also want strong after sales service, and ultimately, when the product's life cycle ends for them, a strong resale value. And that was lacking, especially in the last part. There have been many horror cases, I would say, where cars have not been properly repaired, in fact, spoiled even further, or some parts being stolen out in the service centers, and that really does not reflect well upon the customers, or upon future customers, or upon investors, suppliers. It causes a chain reaction of bad PR, and that ultimately did cause them to not have strong sales ultimately, and ultimately racking up huge debts and not have proper utilization of the capacity. And the almost, if we see in the last month, Ford was just utilizing about 20% of its capacity, which is unheard of in this industry. To make profit, you need to have at least 75-80% capacity utilization in your factories. With 20%, it is not going to do anything, and that is why they had to take this decision of shutting down their factories in Sanand and in Tamil Nadu. So, these were, I would say, the three reasons which did cause this exodus from the Indian car market. Now, to conclude everything, this is a very unfortunate news as such. Ultimately, competition is always better for us consumers because ultimately we are going to get a better product. But the fact is that these were very apparent mistakes which were being made by the management at these companies, and they were not being taken cognizance of as such, even even though the results were quite apparently in front of them, and that ultimately did cause this exodus as such. So to recap, I would say the three reasons simply would be that there was a shift from performance from utilitarian cars to just cheap cars as such, a lack of strong marketing campaign and brand appeal, and the third reason would be to not have a strong after sales service and a strong dealer network. And I would say that this was the three reasons, and I hope that you did like this video, and I'm sure that by liking this video that you will subscribe to my channel, and I hope that you liked my insights, and I will see you around next time. Thank you so much for watching.